Hello everybody! If you haven't been here before, my name is Debbie, and the reason I'm wearing sunglasses inside is because I still have a bit of a slightly swollen eye, so the last couple of videos I've been wearing my sunglasses just because it's a bit red, and also my sunglasses do help to protect my eyes from the bright light behind the camera. But yeah, hopefully after this I probably won't need them afterwards for future videos, because it really is, the swelling has gone down a lot now. So today I am talking about Wuthering Heights, the 2009 ITV adaptation, because after I read it for the first time at age 35, and I had kind of like a love-hate relationship with the book, because I'd gone in believing everybody that it was this tragic love story, and I did not feel it as a love story. I just found it as two very hurt people who were finding solace in each other and kind of created an obsession with each other. Heathcliff more than Cathy, but yeah, I just didn't find it a very healthy relationship, and I didn't seem like something to idolise, whereas I feel like a lot of people do idolise it. Because of how I felt reading it, I wondered if maybe watching an adaptation of it might help to understand some of the nuances and what other people see in the book. And so on recommendation from the internet, I thought I'd give this two-parter a go. So it was made by ITV in 2009. It was adapted for the screen by Peter Boker and directed by Koki Gidroich? I'm never completely sure how to pronounce that surname. And it stars Tom Hardy as Heathcliff and Charlotte Riley as Cathy. And then it also has Andrew Lincoln as Edgar Linton, Kevin McNally as Mr. Earnshaw, the father, Bern Gorman as Hindley, Sarah Lancashire as Nellie, who the majority of the book is from Nellie's point of view, and then Rosalind Halstead as Isabella Linton, who, by the way, I was kind of obsessed with her watching this because I kept feeling like I'd seen her in something before, but when I looked up her filmography, I realised that no, I hadn't seen her in anything else before, but there was just something about her that my eye was instantly attracted to. I thought she was incredible. So yeah, big shout out to Rosalind Halstead as playing Isabella. Yeah, I just thought it was a very interesting adaptation. Obviously, because the book is done from two other people's points of view, you have the visitor to the house at the beginning, and then you primarily see it through housekeeper Nellie's point of view. In this, it kind of starts at the end like the book does, but in a different way. For a second I thought I'd started on the wrong episode. For a second I thought I started on episode 2, but I hadn't, because you start meeting Cathy Jr. and Linton. So it kind of starts where the book ends, because at the end of the book, that is when you go back to the beginning of the story again, where Cathy and Linton are ordered by Heathcliff to marry because he is angry and he is taking out all his depression on the kids, and he's forcing them to do this. And so, yeah, that's where it starts. And then you go back and you find out the history as to how Heathcliff became that way, which you didn't really get that kind of point of view at the beginning of the book, because you just had the visitor, and then he met Nellie, and Nellie told him what happened. So in the series, in this two-parter, to meet a very angry Heathcliff, I really struggle to say Heathcliff sometimes. You meet a very angry Heathcliff at the beginning of the two-parter, and then you find out everything that kind of made him that way. And I thought that was a really clever way to start off the series, introducing you to Heathcliff basically in mourning and extremely depressed and a very angry person, and then the rest of it goes back and tells you how he became that way. I really found that this two-parter really played into the dark parts of the story, which I greatly appreciated, because that was mainly what I got from the book. I mainly got the dark parts. I didn't feel it as a romance. I felt it as two very hurting people kind of trying to deal with things, and then obviously Heathcliff taking that hurt out on their offspring. So if you haven't seen this two-parter, it is so good. It is on ITVX. If you haven't got ITVX, you might be able to get it on like your smart TV. it might be on a catch-up service, I'm not sure, but it was also available on Amazon Prime, on Prime Video, and it was something like £4 or something to get 2 episodes, so it wasn't that bad. But you can watch it for free on ITVX just with adverts, unless you've paid for unlimited, at which point you'll just get it without. But yeah, I thought the casting of Heathcliff and Catherine, incredible. Both of them really played into the unlikable parts of those characters, because you see Cathy being incredibly spoiled, you see Heathcliff and how he became the person who he ends up. I felt like it really focused on how ostracised Heathcliff was, which I feel like it didn't go that in depth in the book. I mean, obviously it does talk about how Heathcliff is bullied by Hindley Earnshaw, which is Catherine's brother. But yeah, it's Hindley that kind of bullies Heathcliff from the second he enters the house. And you find out that obviously their father chooses to give Heathcliff more attention than his own children. So I feel like a lot of it starts off with a lot of resentment, especially from Hindley. Catherine kind of, I think she both loves and resents Heathcliff, because they're all vying for their father's attention. In the story, Cathy and Heathcliff are essentially step-siblings, because Heathcliff is essentially fostered into the family. So, I mean, I was talking with my dad about the story, because my dad's never read the book, and he was just like, so what do you think it's about? And I was just like, I was trying to, it's hard to say exactly, but it just feels like Emily Bronte was trying to hold a mirror up to society about how women at the time were considered belongings. 'Cause when I go back to the beginning of the story and think, what would have had to have happened for this whole story not to have been like completely turned on its head? But the only thing I can really think of is Mr. Earnshaw bringing Heathcliff home. That's the only thing that would really stop the rest of it from happening, I think, because there was always going to be resentment from the family originally against Heathcliff, because their father was playing favourite. And that's not a nice feeling. So trying to pinpoint exactly what the story is about for me, I find it difficult to put into words. But I did find that this adaptation was really, really clever. I loved Sarah Lancashire as Nellie. I thought that was an incredible casting. She's very good at brooding in the background, because she feels like a very big character in the book, because you're seeing so much of it from Nellie's point of view. Whereas in the film, she's just in the background a lot observing. She doesn't actually talk that much across the two-parter, considering the fact that she is a character that's supposed to witness everything. So yeah, I thought it was really clever casting Sarah Lancashire as Nellie, and she just fit that part so well. I really enjoyed watching this, and admittedly it did help me to understand the book a bit more, because by focusing on the darker parts it really helps you just to focus on the story a bit better. Obviously there are parts that were left out because it's how long is it? It's like 2.5 hours or something altogether. Running time 2 hours 22 minutes, whereas reading the book at Kindle was saying it was going to be like 5.5 hours to read it. So, you know, obviously there's going to be things that are going to be taken out and adapted slightly. I just thought it was a really clever adaptation, and I must admit, I could not keep my eyes off Tom Hardy's lips. He's got very full lips, that man, hasn't he? And so it was something that I was very aware of when I was watching it. And this was actually where Tom Hardy and Charlotte Riley met, and they have been married since. They got married in 2014. I think it's great because you can see the chemistry that they had in the show. It really does show kind of like the more lustful side of their relationship, which is what I was generally getting from the book, but that it seemed more obsessive than like true love. And that is why I think that Heathcliff became so obsessed, and why he did the things that he did after Cathy died. But yeah, just magnificent acting from everybody involved. I thought it was really clever. I felt like there was no weak thing among this. I don't think I've ever seen Andrew Lincoln do period before. I'm sure he has done, I just don't think I've seen it, but this was the first time he's seen Andrew Lincoln doing something, period, and I thought it worked really, really well, and it really helped to show the difference between Heathcliff and Edgar Linton, because, you know, it's described in the description of the character on Wikipedia. Edgar is well educated, refined and wealthy, everything that Heathcliff is not. And so, yeah, it says they eventually come to a blow over their love rival status in a bid to win Cathy's heart, because even though Cathy says that she does love Edgar, and she ultimately does choose Edgar over Heathcliff, because Heathcliff keeps leaving her life and coming back, and it's just like, this isn't like a reliable thing for me. I mean, whenever Heathcliff does turn up, Catherine goes back into obsessive mode again, but it is obvious in this portrayal, it really does show Heathcliff as being more obsessed with Cathy than vice versa. So yeah, I just thought it was a really, really good adaptation. I really liked how it really tapped into the darker side of the story. As I said, it was only 2 episodes, so I did them all in one night. I did both of them in one night, and I'm very glad that I read the book first. It is one where I feel like you do need to read the book first. Excellent casting and great portrayals. Did this win any awards? Metacritic gives it kind of mixed average reviews. A review from The Observer that said Wuthering Heights is a nightmare for a filmmaker with too many characters to make a streamlined narrative and annoying protagonists. Yeah, nevertheless, this reviewer enjoyed this edited highlights version of The Heights, directed with flair by Koki Gidroich. I feel like every single time I say that's her name, I say it slightly different. Praised Tom Hardy in the role of Heathcliff, how he managed to convincingly make the character thoroughly dangerous to know in all the right ways, entirely capable of making even careworn middle-aged women rend their garments, tear their hair and head for them all. I'll admit, Tom Hardy is an attractive man, but everything the character does made him extremely unlikable for me, so I did not get... I think it's people romanticising stuff that they shouldn't, and just because Heathcliff is handsome does not generally mean that he's a good person. And admittedly, I have realised through the book and the film that Heathcliff is entirely the making of everything that happened to him as a child and what happened to him as he grew up. But he wasn't a good person, and I feel like when you're not a good person, that shines through. It's like Roald Dahl's The Twits. The more unlikable you are, the more it shines through your face. And so, you know, if you're a good person, you can have a wonky nose and crooked teeth, but that good person in you will shine through. It's the same if you're a bad person. If you're a bad person, it shows. Some people get that gut feeling when they meet someone. Like, it doesn't matter how handsome you are, you give me a weird vibe. You give me stand back. I know not everybody has that kind of instinct, but I was talking with my mum yesterday about this in regards to the fact that I read Wuthering Heights, and then I read Jeanette McCurdy's memoir, I'm Glad My Mum Died, and I found it kind of interesting how 2 completely different books kind of had slightly similar themes in regards to abuse of power and things. And so we were talking a bit about Dan Schneider and stuff, and it was just like, I'll admit, for years, even watching like his YouTube channel and stuff when he went behind the scenes, I always got weird vibes from Dan Schneider. And so I feel like it's one of those things, because like my mum said that she usually felt that way about Jimmy Savile. He always gave her the creeps, and to be honest, he always gave me the creeps. We used to see him walking around Harrogate when I was in college, and with him living in Leeds, he was in both North and West Yorkshire a lot, so a lot of people saw him, and I always found him incredibly creepy. So you can't base it on like what people look like. It's just a gut feeling about people sometimes. Not everybody has that gut feeling. But yeah, I really liked how it really delved into that darker side and really looked at what made Cathy and Heathcliff the way they are. And the fact that even when Cathy married Edgar, when Heathcliff did randomly pop up again, it was like she'd match his energy and then he'd go away again and then she'd mope. At the same time, she did also admit that she loved Edgar. It's me kind of processing both the book and the TV series at this point. I just thought it was clever. I really liked where the series went with it. It does help to streamline the information that you get from the book, because so much happens across almost 500 pages of the book. Because I mean, you know, if you watch my book review, and even in this video I'm talking about like Cathy and Heathcliff, and then Cathy Jr. and Linton, and so that's kind of like how my brain can kind of like separate what I'm talking about in regards to the repetition of names, because it's a lot to take in when you're reading it and you're creating a visual from what you're reading. So having somebody else's visual to compare to the image that I had in my mind as I was reading it, I felt like the ITV version really did closely match what I had in my brain during those dark... Sorry, a big blackbird just flew almost into my window. Yeah. What was I saying? Yeah, I really greatly appreciated the fact that having that visual from somebody else, it did kind of match what my brain was seeing and creating in regards to the darker parts of the book. Does that make any sense? But yeah, as I said, I did really enjoy watching the series, and it has made me think of certain parts of the book in a new light, so I think it has helped to understand more of the book. It's still one of those things where it's just like, we can't talk to Emily Bronte, and she passed away a year after releasing the book, so what she was actually trying to say with the book, we will never really know. But it does feel like she was trying to hold up a mirror to the time in how women were treated in regards to marriage and property, and how messed up it all was. Maybe it was a comment on maybe something that she was going through herself, I don't know. But yeah, Wuthering Heights. This was ITV, starring Tom Hardy and Charlotte Riley as Heathcliff and Cathy. So thank you so much for watching. I'm sure there'll be a million other things that'll come to mind after I've made this. I'm just like, why didn't I say it? But oh well. If you are enjoying the videos, do subscribe. I've seen the number going up a little bit more recently, and I just can't believe that people are watching my videos, and it's really nice to see a community being built across my channel. So yeah, just thank you so much. I noticed a couple more people commenting, which is nice, so hello. As I said, you know, I do read everything, and then I reply when I can, because between 2 jobs and also just trying to have a bit of a life, as well as making the YouTube videos, I do try to kind of keep on top of everything. But yeah, so thank you, and I will see you next time with another video. Mwah. Stay safe everybody, love you all, goodbye!